like finding things really hard, like everything, and like procrastinating everything. It's a very
Okay.
general topic, but it's like background anxiety, and just like nothing seems easy right now, you know. So I just end up procrastinating everything, and I have this background thing of like it's hard to get stuff, It's like I'm finding it
Okay.
very hard to get things right now, and then anything good that comes in leaves like immediately. It's only temporary.
So first of all, how do you know that it's hard to get something? It's hard to get things.
And I just feel that it's difficult to. It just feels difficult,
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
can you give me an example?
Yeah, it's like sitting down trying to do something for like an hour.
Yeah.
It just feels like the most impossible task in the world. Yeah, and then splitting up, because like if I sit down for like half an hour and then, but if I'm still, like in the groove, then the timer cuts me off. So I've lost the state of like flow. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do that now. So I'm like, I'll just carry on. But then like it's always like the more breaks I take and then try to come back to something, it's impossible to do it. But my brain can't do things for 3 hours at a time.
Yes. Okay. So and are there any tasks that you have been able to do for either taking breaks or for longer periods of time or whatever? In other words, are there any exceptions to that rule?
See, right now, no. But
Okay.
that's not always the case.
That's
It's
what I
just
was
when
going to
I
say.
have like pressure and time constraints above my head,
That's what it
that's
is.
when it gets hard. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. Okay. And so when you think of doing a task, so you're going to sit down and do whatever you're going to do for an hour, or half an hour or 3 hours, whatever it is, what do you think of? So in other words, when you think I'm going to sit down and do this, where's your mind going?
Just how long everything's taking right now.
Hmm.
Um, and like I'm not even sure if I'll get it all done by the time I need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you think of needing to get it done, so you're thinking of the whole thing and that there's not enough time?
Yeah, well, I have this weird contradiction going on, which is like I don't have enough to do, and then I create more to do, right? And then I get stressed about how much I have to do. So it's
Interesting.
just an ongoing, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, so using, of course, starting off with the logical side of it, the conscious mind, and using cognitive thinking. What you want to do first of all is make sure that you have intellectually have a plan that works. So, in other words, the amount of time you have divided by the amount of time it takes to get certain things done, so that okay, I've got this amount of time to get that stage done. Then I've got this amount of time to get that step done, so that you've got just strategically, you've got a realistic plan.
Yeah,
So
I have
taking
that, yeah.
emotions out of it, you've got that. Fantastic. Then considering you have that, so you've got a plan, now you don't want to be looking at the whole plan at once. You want to look at just the one step. So in other words, when you think of sitting down to do whatever you're going to do, make sure that you're keeping your mind on just that. So, and you can even say to yourself, I don't have to think about anything else. I only have to do this one thing. Because what happens is when we think about, there's not enough time, I've got all of this to do, and I don't know if I'm going to get it done in time, all of those are connections between neurons that are producing stress chemicals. And of course, as you know, that means your prefrontal cortex is starting to go offline, and you're not in the best state for achieving any of it. So it's an untrained dog that keeps running after the rabbit. Bring it to heel. So as soon as your mind starts going, oh, what about this and that? Answer yourself as if you were answering someone else. So, say to yourself, it's okay. I don't have to think about that right now. All I have to do is this one thing. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, I think that's the hardest bit. It's like,
yeah,
I always make a big grand plan, and it's very realistic. It really is. But
good.
then because of like all of the emotion that gets in the way and the amount of meaning that's given to it,
Yes.
it doesn't
So
carry
that's
through.
what we want to change. That's
Yeah.
it. Okay. So on a logical level, just using the conscious mind, you're going to use that you're going to answer yourself and direct your, so take control and go, I don't have to think of anything else. I have to do this one thing. That's all I have to do right now. And what that will do is it'll give you more stickability. You'll be able to last for longer because you won't have stress chemicals in your system. Okay, so, and I mean, bearing in mind, considering you have, everything you've achieved with stress chemicals in your system, can you imagine how amazing you're going to be and how quick and easy everything's going to be when you don't have stress chemicals in your system? So encourage yourself with that. Think of yourself, wow, I must be pretty good to have been able to do what I've done with this handicap of stress chemicals.
Yeah.
Right. So really keep reminding yourself of that to encourage yourself. So that's that. And then, of course, now let's look at references, because that's, of course, where it's coming from. So childhood references. So let's pretend that you do manage to just sit down and do one thing at a time. You get the thing done and you actually get it done quicker than you were expecting. And then you move on to the next thing and so on. And so you finish the work you have to do early. How would that feel?
Yeah, no.
I figured. So now let's look at it logically. If you did finish early, it would mean you have time to relax, you have time to have fun, you have time to do other things. So logically, it should feel good, right? Would you agree with that? Okay, good. Yeah. So now we want to look for those references that are contradicting it. So let's say you finish early and you say it wouldn't feel good. In what way would it not feel good? How would you feel?
It's again, like, I feel like I always need things to do. Like, I'm not using my time wisely. I'm wasting away the day.
Oh, very good. So let's
That's
dive
not true. That's not true.
Yeah, but let's dive into that kind of construct there. So what's wrong with wasting away the day, or not using your time wisely? What's wrong with that?
It's just the family, like tradition of no rest.
Yeah, very good. Good job. And so that's, of course, what's happening is that in the moment that you think of, I'm not going to have, I'm going to finish early, or it's going to be too easy, or I'm not going to have enough to do. Your brain is in that moment referring to your childhood conditioning, that's dangerous, and then pumping stress chemicals into your system. So when you think of your childhood, do you have memories of your parents relaxing and not doing anything?
Yeah, so basically I was doing this, and I've obviously done this a lot of times, but then I realized that sitting down and doing nothing is boring. So I created activities, and I only did that recently, but I don't know if that's I don't know what that's doing,
Okay.
So I'm like, sitting down and chilling. I'm like, whenever I would practice those memories, I was like, that's so boring. So I was like, my dad is playing cricket because he likes that. My mom is doing art because she likes that.
So they're still doing activities.
They're still doing stuff.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what we want to do is we want to swing right the other way first.
Okay.
And have them enjoying just being.
Okay.
So give them a couple of deck chairs outside, or a hammock, or a nice, some sort of outside area, and it's a beautiful day, and they've got something to drink, and they're just watching the birds or chatting quietly, and it's got this very laid back, lazy feeling. Can you imagine that?
Yes. Yeah.
Good.
I can feel that. Yeah.
Good. Very good. And does it feel good?
Yeah, it's like a slow Sunday morning vibe.
Nice. That's it. Yes, very good. And then what you might want to add in there is that either one of them or someone else says, oh, but shouldn't we be doing something? And then the other one says, no, it's fine. there's nothing urgent. It's okay to relax.
Okay.
How would that feel?
So this is amongst my parents, like
Yes.
them having a conversation.
Yes, you can have the two of them, or you can have someone else coming in. It could even be you saying, oh, shouldn't we be doing something? And they reassure you and say, no, it's okay. There's nothing urgent. It's okay to relax. It's important to relax. So they are teaching you what you need to know now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Teaching you and demonstrating it.
Yeah, and then I can go join them.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So they invite you to come sit down and relax. Mm-hmm. Isn't it a gorgeous day? And so the focus is on the feeling, the physical feeling of, this is so nice to just sit here. And so your focus is on the physical sensation of relaxing and feeling good, as opposed to needing to do something or listen to something or watch something in order to feel good.
Yeah. As you were saying that, I can imagine like this dissolving ball of like doing.
Good.
Like, the chaos is going away.
Fantastic. That's perfect. Yes, good job. Very good.
Mm-hmm.
So, good job, Swasti. So practice that scene and establish it, and you can change it and add things, to make it feel really, really strong, really good. Those good feelings really strong. And then once that's established, then think about the next step you need to do and then think about finishing early, getting things done and early, and notice how that feels. So we can test that right now. So now when you think of, let's say you're going to finish all of your work early, how would that feel?
Now it feels good. Yeah.
Good. Very good. And now, of course, you'll still want to practice that, of course, because that's new. That new memory is still new. So you want to practice it and establish it to make sure that that sticks.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
And so keep practicing that. And then whenever you think of, I'm going to get that work done, play that new memory of your parents and everything before you sit down to work, whenever you think of work, and then also before you sit down to actually start working.
Mm-hmm.
And during your working, while you're busy, every now and then, you can think of that. Oh, yeah, that's nice. And definitely when you take a break.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does that help?
Yeah. Yes. So, and I have like another similar question to this. So my brain always needs like a bit of structure. So I always plan things like list wise, and then split them according to days and like my own deadlines and stuff. It is very organized, but it's like hyper organized to the point where I keep checking it again and again. And then it's like the structure messes with my head because that takes up so much energy, like, making sure it's there, the hypervigilance of it.
Okay.
That's what happens in between, like when I'm not focusing on the thing in the moment. That's where my mind is also going to.
Right. Okay. And so let's start with the logical side. You've checked the structure works. You're happy with it.
Yeah, because my mind works in one at a time. So I'm only doing one thing at a time, as in like one topic at a time. I can't mix them.
Very good. Very good. Okay, so that's okay. So you're getting to the flow of it, and you get one thing done at a time. That's perfect. So let's pretend now that, so tell me first of all, when you check that structure, like you say, in between you're checking the structure, what is it you're checking for? What are you worried about?
That I'm on track.
To make sure you're on track.
And what's happening next.
Okay.
But I know what's happening next. So actually, this is the thing, like it makes no sense. I'm just checking it for the sake of doing it now.
All right. Yeah. And because you've got stress chemicals in your system, and then when you check it, that's helping to bring the stress chemicals down as a coping skill.
Maybe, yeah.
But the stress chemicals are not coming from now. They're coming from childhood. So when you think of let's think about that now, that checking that what's next in case you've made a mistake or whatever that is. You got that feeling now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. And what's the first thing that comes to mind as you feel that feeling?
Well, the visual image is the village in India, but I don't know
Mhm.
what about. It was just chaotic.
Oh, yes, that makes sense. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so you got this chaotic village.
Mm-hmm.
What we want to do is make the village organized.
Okay.
Okay, so how does the chaotic village feel, first of all? So you think of the chaotic village, how does that feel?
Chaotic.
Chaotic, and how does chaotic feel for you?
It's just like
Yeah.
so much going on, overwhelmed. Yeah.
That's it. So what's happening now is you've got your work organized, but your brain is still referring to the chaotic village. And it's trying to make your experience right now feel safe, but you've got this noise going on in the background of the chaotic village. So it's never going to, you can't, nothing you do now is going to change that. You have to change that.
Okay.
All right, so let's make the village organized. So as you think of that village, what would feel good? How would you like that village to be?
Yeah, I was just trying to see it now because there are no normal roads
Mm-hmm.
and no normal like rules of the road. So there's just motorbikes everywhere and cars and trucks everywhere. So having like an actual road system like in the UK.
Yeah, let's do
People
that.
walk on paths. Yeah.
There you go. So let's make some beautiful roads. They're clean and they're in great condition. They're safe, and people are driving safely and normally, and people are walking on pavements, so they're not in the middle of the road. That kind of thing. Can you imagine that?
I don't know. That's going to take a lot of overriding.
Okay, so let's look at that. So as you try to imagine that, what are you seeing or thinking of or feeling or hearing?
It's because I have a very recent memory of it because I went to India in December. Right. So like I know exactly what it looks like and I repeat it in my head again and again and again. Because it's the memory.
Right.
So just that is all coming up. Like
okay, so let's put that aside for the moment and let's go to your childhood. And I want you to think of one scene where how you know that these roads are the way they were. So you're looking at you're in a particular place and you're seeing the roads or you're seeing the traffic. What's happening?
Yeah, it was like from our house we can cross the road safely. You know, like from the point you step out. Okay. It's like danger everywhere.
Okay, so let's start there. Okay. So you've got your house and there's a road right outside the house. Okay, so what I want you to do is put a crossing right there, pedestrian crossing. Okay. And traffic lights. Okay, so it's a proper tarred road and it's got a pedestrian crossing, the zebra crossing, and traffic lights. In fact, it's got that, but let's add a lollipop person as well. So you've got a person there with the sign that they use for schools that makes the traffic stop and allows you to cross. How would that be?
Yeah, that feels safe.
Good. And make that lollipop person really lovely. So they're very smiley and happy and fun and kind, and they've got a very safe feeling about them. Okay. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Good. And now I want you to imagine you walk out of your house and immediately the lollipop person gets their lollipop and they go and stand, they stop the traffic, they stand in the middle and they help you cross and they allow you to cross. And how would that feel?
Great. Yeah.
Good. Very good. So that's one piece. So now when you cross the road, what else is there? What else do you see?
Yeah. There was just like this open kind of like sewage, kind of like running, like vile. So that's kind of like opposite the road that we just crossed now. There's that.
All right, let's sort that out. So I want you to imagine that this big kind of bulldozer thing comes along and covers that up. So that's completely covered up, and they build a nice park on top of it. Well, how would that feel?
That's nice. Yeah.
Good, very good. So now instead of that, so they've covered it up, they've poured concrete on it, and now they've put like a nice lawn and trees and playthings, what you call your playground things, maybe a nice lake or a pond.
Okay.
Would that feel good?
Yes.
Very good. And now I want you to see if you can, so I want you to raise off the ground. So you're going to go straight up in the air and look down. You're going to have an aerial view of the village now. And I want you to see if you can imagine it in a grid. So, you know, like New York is, and a lot of American big cities are built in a grid. So they've got they've got roads going that way and that way. There's no higgledy-piggledy things.
No. Yeah.
All right. And those roads are all proper tarred roads with traffic lights, lollipop people. Everything looks very clean and organized. And you can see cars coming along and stopping, and people crossing, and the other cars go, and then these go. Can you see it all working like clockwork? It's all perfectly organized and slow.
Yes, but I still see like all the dust and dirt.
Okay, let's fix that. I want you to imagine that somebody comes along with a big vacuum cleaner thing. And you know the attachment that you use for a vacuum cleaner to clean the corners and things. They got one of those, but it's very big. And they switch it on, and all the dust and dirt from the whole village goes into that vacuum cleaner. And what you're left with is this clean, clear air.
Okay. Yes.
Can you imagine that?
Yes, I can see that.
Good. And how does that feel?
Good. I think I need to practice that a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. And so when you're practicing these, as you imagine it, if you know, notice what comes up. If, in other words, if you start thinking about it and you start practicing it, and something comes up that contradicts it, then of course change that.
Okay.
All right. And so practice having that aerial view of the village being perfectly designed, perfectly organized, and everyone moves very slowly and deliberately and calmly. So it's very predictable. It's like a clockwork thing.
Okay.
All right. And you can exaggerate that aspect of it so that it feels very dependable, very safe.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah, I like that.
Good, very good. And that makes so much sense, you know, considering what's going on for you now. So establish that, and then so now let's think about your work. And so you're going to sit down to work. How do you feel?
I feel like I instantly get that hit of kind of like stress, but that's because that's always been, it's been like that for a while. Okay. That's what I've associated with it now.
Yes, yes, and that makes sense as well. So you're going to establish those new memories, the new memories of your parents relaxing and all of that, the new organized clockwork village, okay? And then as you think about your work and you get that hit of stress chemicals, answer it by immediately playing one of those memories. Your parents relaxing, come and join us, everything's fine, and the clockwork village. All right.
Yes.
And I would do this before you actually sit down. I would think about, like we just did now. And you think about the work, notice what happens, and play the thing so that you're retraining your brain. You're reconnecting. You're making new connections there.
Okay.
So that when you think about sitting down to work, you have the feeling of your parents relaxing and that organized clockwork village where it's safe.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes, makes sense. Okay.
Good. Very good, Swasti. So how do you feel now?
I feel good. Thank you.
Yay. You're very welcome. Very welcome. Thank you for your question.